lives, who helped us get to right here and now. Thank you.
Well, as campus protests escalate, Congress is threatening consequences. House Republicans are launching an investigation into federal funding for these universities and pushing to pass a new anti-Semitism law. We've got Washington, D.C. correspondent Hannah Brandt standing by, and she tells us why some lawmakers say it's time to get involved. Good morning, Hannah.
Danielle, good morning. House leaders are accusing university officials of failing to keep these protests under control, and they say they're not doing enough to protect Jewish students. Fireworks erupted at UCLA, and protesters clashed on campus overnight. Across the country at Columbia, New York police stormed a university building to arrest dozens of protesters who had been occupying it.
This thing is out of control.
From Capitol Hill, lawmakers are watching with concern, and House Speaker Mike Johnson warns if universities don't get the chaos under control,
you will see Congress respond in kind. You're going to see funding sources begin to dry up. You're going to see every level of accountability that we can muster.
He says several House committees will investigate the protests and may decide to take away federal funding. And this week, Congress is gearing up to vote on a bill to change the federal definition of anti-Semitism under anti-discrimination law.
The rampant anti-Semitism requires action by the federal government.
Congressman Mike Lawler introduced the legislation, and supporters say it would allow universities to crack down on harmful speech.
This is not the free marketplace of ideas. This is open threats to Jewish students because of their faith and who they are.
But some worry it goes too far, like Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez.
We are constitutionally bound to protect free speech, even and more importantly, when it is speech with which we do not agree.
And Congressman Pete Aguilar prefers letting universities respond.
They have guidance, they have rules, they need to enforce those before Congress creates new ones.
The White House says while President Biden does support peaceful protests, he is concerned about anti-Semitism on campus and does not agree with protesters barricading themselves inside of university buildings. Live in Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
Thanks, Hannah. Well, Education Secretary Miguel Cardona talked about the protests at Senate hearings this week. What did he say?
Yeah, that's right. Well, he told senators that he is concerned as well about these anti-Semitic instances, calling them abhorrent and unacceptable. And he says the Education Department is looking into more than 130 cases of harassment against Jewish students.
All right. Thank you so much, Washington correspondent Hannah Brandt. All right, in other news on the Hill, Marjorie Taylor Greene is threatening to move forward with her motion to vacate House Speaker Mike Johnson, but her efforts may fail. House Democratic leadership has already said that they plan to block her move and save Speaker Johnson from being removed from office. The decision comes after she publicly asked him to resign and he refused. Greene is not pleased with Johnson because he worked with Democrats on several bills. Right now, there are two other Republicans supporting Johnson's removal as well. And in your campaign 2024 news, New Hampshire's delegates are going to be represented at the Democratic National Convention this summer. The committee voted after months of infighting about the election schedule. New Hampshire typically holds the first presidential primary, but refused to comply with a new Democratic calendar that moved South Carolina first. As a result, President Biden did not file to appear the ballot for New Hampshire's primary. However, the president still won the contest as a write-in candidate. And former President Donald Trump plans to hold a fundraiser next month with a potential VP candidate. Trump and Senator J.D. Vance will appear together at an event in Vance's home state of Ohio, and Trump won that state in 2016 and in 2020.
There's a live look outside South Texas College. I'm not seeing issues with visibility this morning. Also not being able to find any sprinkles, although it is a very, very small chance we could see a handful of sprinkles even leading into this afternoon. But the chances today are even less than yesterday. So that means that if you didn't see rain yesterday, you know, hey, most of us are not going to see anything. We're going to be warm and humid again today, looking at low 90s. Yesterday, I saw that we were around that 90, 91 degree mark. Today, I believe it's going to be right on par with where we were looking at 91 for McAllen, Edinburgh, Mission, La Jolla, 93 for Rio Grande City. We could see a couple in the mid-90s, especially as you head further inland in towards the upper valley. Now, in terms of today's severe weather threat, the enhanced risk for northern portions of